This happened to me about 6 months ago, and even now, I can't walk home alone without looking over my shoulder. It was a Wednesday night, one of those midweek days where everything just drags. I work as an assistant accountant in a mid-sized firm downtown. That night, I stayed late to finish quarterly reports, and by the time I logged out, it was almost 10:45 p.m. The office lights flickered slightly as I shut down my computer. The building was quiet, too quiet. Most of the floor lights had already turned off automatically, leaving just the glow from the vending machines and the humming exit signs. I slung my bag over my shoulder, slipped into my coat, and stepped outside. The air was cold and sharp. You know that mix of exhaustion and relief when you're finally done for the day. Yeah, that's what I felt. Just happy to be heading home. The street was empty except for a few parked cars and the sound of my heels clicking against the sidewalk. I had my phone in one hand, scrolling through messages as I walked toward the corner where my car was parked. The yellow streetlights stretched my shadow long across the pavement. Everything felt normal. For the first few blocks, I was just replaying my day in my head, thinking about the emails I'd forgotten to send, whether I should pick up food on the way, stupid stuff like that. Then something felt off. I don't even know what made me notice it first, maybe instinct, but I got this weird feeling that someone was behind me. I didn't look right away. I just kept walking, scrolling slower on my phone, pretending to text, but my ears were locked on the sound of footsteps. They were faint, but definitely there. When I turned the corner toward the smaller street where my car was parked, the sound turned too. Same pace, same rhythm. I glanced back casually. Two figures a little ways behind me. Both men, one in a hoodie, one wearing a cap pulled low. Their faces were shadowed, but their posture, they weren't just walking. They were matching me. I told myself maybe they were just heading the same way. Small laugh. I even forced a laugh under my breath, like I was being dramatic, and kept going. But the next block confirmed it. Every time I crossed the street, they crossed too. Every time I slowed down, so did they. My stomach tightened. My car was still a few blocks away, parked near a small 24-hour laundromat. I decided to test it. I stopped near a closed storefront, pretending to check something in my bag. They stopped too. That's when, panic started creeping up my spine. I started walking faster. My pulse matched my footsteps. The sound behind me picked up too, their shoes hitting the pavement a little harder. There was no one else around. No open shops. No cars passing by. Just empty sidewalks and flickering streetlights. I could feel my throat tightening as I tried to think logically. Maybe call someone. But my hand was shaking too much. I opened my phone, scrolled through my contacts. My friend Mia's name popped up. I pressed it, but it rang twice and went a voicemail. "Hey, it's me. I think someone's following me," I whispered. "I'm walking down Pine Avenue, near the laundromat." I froze mid-sentence, because behind me, one of them laughed. Softly. It was a quiet, breathy laugh. The kind that sounded like someone enjoying a secret. God, that sound snapped something in me. I broke into a run. I didn't even think, just ran. My bag bounced against my hip. My shoes clacked on the pavement, and the cold air burned my lungs. I heard their footsteps break into a run too. Heavier, faster. The street narrowed ahead, turning into an alley that cut through to the main road. I took it, hoping to reach more traffic, more lights. Trash bins, fences, the smell of damp concrete. Ugh. I kept darting through, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. Then, a voice behind me shouted, "Hey, stop." No chance. I pushed harder, almost tripping over a broken crate. The alley opened into another back street behind a row of small stores. I ducked behind a dumpster, crouching low, trying not to breathe too loud. My whole body was trembling. Their footsteps slowed. They were close. I could hear their voices. "She can't be far," one of them said. The other laughed again, that same quiet laugh. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from gasping. The metal of the dumpster was cold against my back. Their shadows stretched across the concrete. I saw one of them stop, right near where the alley split into two directions. The other looked around, scanning the dark corners with his phone flashlight. The beam brushed across the wall, then my shoe. I froze. My heart was pounding so violently, I thought it would give me away. The man with the flashlight took one slow step closer. Then, a car drove by on the next street, headlights cutting through the alley for just a second. He turned his head toward the light. I used that moment. I pushed myself up, bolted from the dumpster, and ran the other way. I didn't even know where I was going. I just ran toward the glow of the next main road. By some miracle, I saw a late-night bus pulling up at the stop across the intersection. I sprinted toward it, waving frantically. The driver must have seen the panic on my face because he waited. I jumped on, gasping, "Please, just go." He looked confused but closed the doors and pulled off. Through the back window, I saw the two men appear at the corner, staring. They didn't chase anymore. They just stood there, watching the bus drive away. When I finally got home, I locked every door and window twice. I filed a police report the next day, but of course, there were no cameras in that area. No clear descriptions, nothing to trace. It's been months now. I don't walk alone at night anymore. And sometimes, I still hear that soft laugh in my head when I think about it. I used to think being followed was something that only happened in movies. Now, I know how real that feeling is and how it never really leaves you. This happened last fall, around mid-October. The days were getting shorter, and the nights had that sharp chill that, ugh, just sneaks under your jacket. I just finished a late shift at work, and my friend Maya and I decided to grab a quick coffee while we waited for our rides. We picked this small cafe on the corner of a nearly empty street, the kind that feels safe because it's warm, you know? Soft yellow light spilled from the windows onto the wet sidewalk. The smell of cinnamon and espresso floated in the air, and some faint indie song hummed from a speaker above the counter. Inside, it felt comforting, quiet, calm, familiar. We took a booth near the window, the one with the cracked leather that squeaks every time you move. I was scrolling through my phone while Maya absent-mindedly stirred her latte. Outside, the fog had thickened, muting everything. That's when I noticed him. A man mid-30s maybe. Hoodie pulled up, hands in his pockets. He looked like just another late customer. But his eyes lingered. Too long. Too direct. I tried to brush it off, focusing on my screen. Maya didn't even notice him. A few minutes later, he started walking toward our booth. Calm. Quiet. The kind of calm that makes your stomach twist before your brain even understands why. "Hi," he said softly. "You guys waiting for someone?" Maya smiled politely. "Yeah, our ride should be here soon." He nodded. His eyes flicked toward our drinks. "Would you like another one?" "My treat. Something special. Not on the menu." Something about that made me pause. My gut said no, but the cafe was cozy, and he didn't sound dangerous. Maya, she's too kind sometimes, said yes. He walked back to the counter. The barista, young woman, dark hair in a bun, didn't even ask for payment. She just smiled faintly when he whispered something to her, and started making the drinks. When he came back, he set two small cups on the table, steam curling in these lazy little swirls. "How special," he said, grinning. I took a small sip, sweet, floral, oddly heavy. Within seconds, my body felt wrong. The warmth in my chest turned thick, sluggish. The edges of the room started softening. Maya's voice came out shaky. "Hey, do you feel that?" I blinked, trying to focus. The man was standing too close now, one hand resting casually near the back of my chair. My limbs felt slow, like they weren't even mine anymore. Then I looked up toward the counter. The barista was watching us. She wasn't cleaning, wasn't making drinks, just watching. And when our eyes met, she looked away, quick, pretending to wipe the counter. A chill ran straight through me. That's when it hit. She wasn't surprised. She knew. The man leaned in closer. "You should get some fresh air," he said softly. "Helps with dizziness." His tone was gentle, coaxing, like he practiced it. I tried to move, but my legs, God, they felt weak. Maya noticed. She gripped my wrist, her voice cutting through the fog. "No, we're fine. We're not going anywhere." Right then, the bell above the door jingled, loud, sharp. Our friend Liam rushed in, spotting us right away. "Hey, you guys okay?" The man froze. His eyes flicked toward the barista, and she gave him the faintest shake of her head, like a silent warning. He straightened, smiled thinly, and walked out. Didn't say a word. For a second, everything was still. The barista didn't move until he was gone. Then she turned away quickly, pretending to restock cups, avoiding eye contact completely. We stood up, unsteady, hearts pounding. Outside, the cold air hit like a slap, sharp, clean. It snapped us back. The man was gone. So was a black van parked half a block away, one we hadn't noticed before. Liam helped us into his car, his face pale once he realized what almost happened. None of us talked much on the drive home. The city lights fell harsher, the streets emptier. I kept replaying it. The way the barista looked at him, the way she didn't ask what was in those drinks, how she didn't even flinch when we started fading. We never reported her. We should have. But part of me thinks she already knew exactly what would have happened if we had. Now, every time I walk into a cafe, I glance behind the counter, because sometimes the person handing you your drink isn't innocent either. This happened to me about 6 months ago. It was a Tuesday night, one of those long, dragging days that never seemed to end. I had stayed late at work, finishing inventory at the small clothing store where I work part-time. By the time I finally clocked out, the streets were mostly empty. It was almost 11 p.m. The air had that cold, still feeling that comes right before midnight, where every sound seems sharper, every echo louder. I had missed my bus, so I decided to walk home. I put my earphones in but didn't play any music, just left them there, so it looked like I wasn't paying attention. My route was simple: 3 blocks down, cut across the main road, and then past a row of old apartment buildings. Everything was fine for the first few minutes, just streetlights flickering above, the buzz of a neon sign from a closed diner, the hum of cars far away on the highway. Then I noticed a car, a gray sedan, parked near the corner. Its headlights were off, but the engine was still running. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe someone was waiting to pick someone up. But when I crossed the street, the car slowly rolled forward. Not fast, not threateningly, just following the flow of my walk. You know that weird moment when your gut notices something before your brain catches up? Yeah, that's what it felt like. My stomach tightened a little, and I pretended to check my phone just to see the reflection of the headlights behind me. They were closer now. I turned right onto Pine Street, a quieter stretch that led toward my neighborhood, and the car turned too. That's when I knew something was off. I slowed down, trying to think logically. Maybe it was coincidence, maybe they lived nearby. Still, I took out one earbud just to hear better. My footsteps echoed against the pavement. The car engine hummed softly behind me. After about a block, the car stopped again. I felt eyes on me. Not the kind of glance you feel from across a room. No, this was heavier, focused. Then, the driver's side window rolled down halfway. A man's voice called out, casual, like he was asking for directions. "Hey, excuse me, do you know if this road leads to downtown?" I froze mid-step. He was maybe mid-30s, wearing a baseball cap and a dark hoodie. I couldn't see his face clearly, just a faint outline lit by his dashboard. His cap's brim was spotless, too clean for someone who drove an old car. I forced a small, polite smile. "Yeah, just keep going straight." He nodded slowly, eyes locked on me the whole time. Then he said something that sent a chill down my spine. "Cool, you live around here?" That question didn't belong. I didn't answer. I just shrugged and started walking again, faster now. Behind me, the car stayed still for a few seconds, then started moving again, creeping forward. My heart started pounding. Every step felt louder. About a minute later, I reached the small 24-hour convenience store near the intersection. The sign's fluorescent light flickered above the door. Without thinking, I went inside. The cashier, a tired-looking guy scrolling on his phone, glanced up. I walked straight to the refrigerator section, pretending to browse the drinks. Through the glass front of the store, I could see the reflection of the car idling outside. He hadn't left. My hands were shaking slightly as I pulled out a bottle of water I didn't need. The automatic doors slid open behind me. That soft whoosh sound made my stomach drop. I didn't even need to turn around. I knew it was him. He stepped inside. I could see his reflection in the fridge glass. He walked slowly past the chips aisle, then paused, pretending to look at gum near the register. I turned slightly, pretending to check my phone. He was staring at me through the reflection, not directly, but watching, studying. The cashier asked, "You need help finding something?" Before I could answer, my mouth opened, but no sound came out. The man's voice cut in. "She's fine," he said, calm, almost friendly. That's when my pulse started racing. My mouth went dry. The cashier gave a quick, awkward laugh and went back to his phone. I stood there for another 30 seconds, tried to think. My apartment was still 10 minutes away, too far to run if he followed me. But if I stayed here, I'd be trapped. I decided to use my phone, not to call anyone, but to pretend to. I stepped a little away and started talking loudly. "Yeah, I'm almost there. You're outside already. Cool, I see your car." Then I turned toward the door and walked out like I wasn't scared at all. The man was leaning on a rack near the exit. As I passed, he smiled. Not wide, not friendly, just this small, tight smile that made my skin crawl. "Have a good night," he said. I didn't reply. Once outside, I turned left, not toward home, but toward the main road where there were more lights and cameras. I walked fast, clutching my phone. The car started moving again. I could hear the low rumble of the engine behind me. He slowed whenever I slowed. I knew I couldn't lead him toward where I lived, so I took a detour toward the bus stop, even though the next bus wasn't due for 20 minutes. The stop had a small metal bench and a security camera mounted nearby. I sat down, pretending to text, eyes flicking up every few seconds. The gray sedan parked on the opposite side of the street, engine still running. I stayed still, trying not to show I was shaking. My hands were clammy, my throat dry. I didn't blink for what felt like minutes. Then, a set of headlights appeared behind the sedan. Another car pulled up, a rideshare, the kind with a glowing sign on the dashboard. The new car honked lightly, and the sedan suddenly rolled forward, driving off fast without warning. I exhaled so hard I almost laughed, but I didn't feel safe yet. I stayed at that bus stop until a real bus came, even though it was going the wrong direction. I got on anyway and rode for 15 minutes before getting off and ordering a rideshare home from there. When I finally reached my apartment, I locked every window and just sat on the couch, staring at the floor. Sometimes, I still hear that low engine hum when the streets are quiet. I keep thinking about how he knew exactly when to act friendly, how normal he seemed at first, how easy it was for me to rationalize it, until it was almost too late. Now, every time I walk home alone, I notice every reflection, every sound behind me. And if a car slows down even for a second, I cross the street without hesitation. Because I know now, sometimes danger doesn't chase you. It just follows quietly, waiting for you to make one wrong turn.